We are just a few weeks into the Switch 2 generation, and already one of its best launch games is getting even better. That game is Fast Fusion, the slick, budget-friendly, futuristic racer from Shin'en. It's just dropped a brand new DLC pack, and best of all, it's completely free. So in today's video, I wanted to dive in and check out what's new, and whether this update makes Fast Fusion an even easier recommendation. Now, if you did pick this one up or you're still on the fence, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Alright, let's jump in. Before we do get into it, if you do want my full thoughts on Fast Fusion, I've got a review linked below and at the end of the video. But in short, I loved it. Fast, smooth, stylish. My only real criticisms were that it launched a little light on content, and while it looked impressive, the visuals could feel a bit blurred at times. Now this DLC aims to fix both of those things. So first up, let's talk minor fixes, changes, and smaller additions. They've implemented a new GPU particle system for the snowflake effect on the new Alpine Trust track. And yeah, looks great. They've also tweaked progression to make unlocking cups easier. I actually mentioned this in my original review. There was a bit of a grind, so this is a welcome change. They've also knocked out a bunch of minor bug fixes and added 2 new music tracks to the jukebox, and that is the in-game music player that lets you unlock and listen to tracks from the series. Now I know that's not for everyone, but I love it. The soundtrack in this game is seriously good. Now though, let's actually talk kind of gameplay content, because this is one of the 2 big changes in the DLC. We're getting a brand new Carbium Cup, and this is a set of 3 original tracks. So basically, if you jump into career mode, you're going to find them waiting for you across all difficulty tiers. Now, what was a 12-track game is now 15, and I think that's a decent little bump. The new tracks are also available in Time Attack and Superhero mode. That's the challenge mode, where you have to place first and never crash. One thing I would love to see in the future, honestly, is a quick race option. Right now, if you want to play competitively against AI, it's championship cups only, so those sets of 3 races. I only kind of picked up on that, I guess, going back like this. So yeah, a single race option, that would be just, yeah, really nice. But anyway, how are these new tracks? Well, they're actually reimaginings of courses from Fast RMX. They're not huge overhauls, but they've been tweaked to support the new jump mechanic, and honestly, I'm a fan. If I had to sum them up, these are the most punishing tracks in the game, almost constantly twisting and winding, and they're packed with hazards, from instant kill lasers to jumps you have to commit to, or yeah, you're dropping straight into the void. None of the original 12 tracks, I guess, felt this difficult in the sense of they force your hand, you have to commit to these jumps, you have to avoid these lasers, and because of that, they just make perfect sense as the final cup for each difficulty tier. So yeah, they've not come here to dial things back, they are cranking the challenge up. And what I like most is just the variety here. Each track has its own personality of the 3, and they really feel like they plug some gaps in that original lineup. Alpine is the most visually impressive, a snowy set piece filled with tight turns, a big focus on maneuverability. Plains leans more into long straights, but when it gets dangerous, it gets real dangerous. Lasers, low ceilings, jumps that will absolutely destroy you. And Habitat, the 3rd track, kind of sits somewhere in between. I wiped out on all tracks. More than once, that is for sure, but basically these are great additions, and hopefully just the beginning. If this is the direction for future updates, they've started with a bang. The final new addition then is a brand new visual mode. Now, one of my minor complaints at launch was that while the game technically outputs at 4K, it had a noticeable blur during gameplay. Now stationary, it looked great, but in motion it felt soft, and it seems like Shin'en is taking steps to address that with a new option called Pure Mode. Now just to recap what I've been using before, the quality setting, that runs at 60 FPS with HDR, full of 4K, real-time reflections, static shadows, screen space shadows, and anti-aliasing. That's what you're seeing on screen right now. Now there were other visual modes too, including one with even better image quality, but that's like 30 FPS, and for a racer like this, not a chance. Pure mode is different. It's running at 60 FPS with HDR once again, but it drops to a dynamic 1440p resolution. It swaps in dynamic cube map reflections, and crucially for that sharpness, removes anti-aliasing. Now, how does it look? It's kind of tough to give an overall opinion on, honestly. Like on some tracks, I definitely notice the image feeling sharper, the clarity's there, but the aliasing is so noticeable. Jagged edges are everywhere, and depending on the track, the trade-off honestly didn't always feel like it was worth it. So yeah, for me personally, nice idea, but I'll probably stick to performance or quality. That slight blur didn't bother me too much. It was more about my expectations, I guess. This was the first game I played on Switch 2, so I wanted it to look ultra crisp out the gate, and I guess I've adjusted since. That said, I know some players will appreciate that extra improvement, and let's face it, more options, never a bad thing. So final verdict, it's a solid little update. 3 new tracks, a few smart tweaks to progression, a new visual mode, even a couple of new music tracks, which I especially like. But most importantly, it's completely free, and honestly, who's going to complain about that? You know, Fast Fusion was already a budget game at launch, and a good one. You got a full recommendation from me in my original review, and this DLC just reinforces that. It feels like Shin'en are doing right by their players. No microtransactions, no seasonal pass, just more content dropped in for free. So yeah, I guess big respect for that. Alright, so thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, drop a like, maybe subscribe for more Switch 2 and Switch 1 content. Got tons of it on the way. And let me know what you think of the new tracks in the comments. Alright, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers all.